Hello everyone out there in YouTube. This is Deluxe here. I'm here today to do some very special videos for my Xanadu next playthrough. So the next couple of Xanadu next playthrough videos will not so much be action-packed, but rather they'll just touch on more about the history of the story of Xanadu and more background history and more information about the story behind this whole game. So as you recall, if you've been watching my videos during my journeys in exploring Harlech Island, I've come across some various treasure chests that have held different tablets and different memoirs. And what I would tend to do is that I'll then go see our travelling companion, Char, back in Harlech town, give her those tablets and memoirs, and then she would go about translating them for us, ready for us to read them at a later time. Well, for the next couple of videos, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be reading through all those tablatures and all those memoirs, and believe me, there is a lot of tablatures and memoirs that I have to get through, so I guess why not now? I guess the two main reasons why I've decided to do it now at this point in the game is because firstly, we are almost nearing the end of this game. Where I am now, the Castle Strange Rock, that I guess you could consider is the final dungeon of the game. And also there is a plot twist, a certain plot twist that happens much later on in the game that changes everything, and a lot of what happens in that plot twists you can learn from or find out a bit of information from reading those tablatures that Char has translated for us. So having that kind of information in the back of my mind, preparing us for when that plot twist happens, will be very useful indeed. The second reason is because lovely Char, dear Char, whenever she translates the tablatures and memoirs for us, she will give us a nice reward in the form of a packed shared lunch. If you recall, way back in my earlier videos, Char felt a bit guilty not being able to help out our hero in some way, with our hero going around, killing all the monsters and doing all the exploring and stuff, and poor Char stuck back in town doing the translating. So what she said was that as well as translating the tablets and the memoirs, she also wanted to help in her own way, and how she was going to do that was learn how to cook. And throughout the game, what usually happens is that once you've read a tablature or a memoir, she will give you a nice reward of a shared lunch that she's made, but also on top of that you get some nice experience points, and those experience points that you get will be very handy for leveling up our hero, as well as letting us purchase and equip more stronger, better armor, weapons, and more powerful magic, I guess. So so I guess without further ado, let's go see Char and let's get some reading done underway, shall we? Up the stairs into our room. Char, lovely Char, there she is. I wonder if she has anything new to say. So we'll talk. Yes, please. A barrier protecting the castle. That barrier is probably what caused the castle to fade in and out of the fog like it did. From the evidence we've gathered up to this point, it sounds like the matter of the castle sinking into the lake. But even after all this effort, we still haven't found a way in. I'll hold your horses. We're working on it, Char. We're working on something. Don't you worry. Okay, so let's have a look at read the temperature translations. So as you can see there, we've gathered and we've gotten all the tablatures, and Char's finished translating all of them, so I guess we should go through each and every one of them, reading through. So I guess it makes sense that we start at the very beginning, the first one. So to the inheritors of history. I tell of my homeland founded by the great Kublai Khan, and reported and eaten by all who behold its vistas, the land of Xanadu. Here the songs of the birds ring out, the flowers are always in bloom, and the light of the sun doth shine warmly upon all the land. Truly Xanadu is a place of beauty and peace. However, it is not my intent to extol the glory of this countryside herein. Rather, the duty that falls upon me is that of minute and fact to make accurate records of the history that has befallen us. And even in such a place as this Xanadu, there must always be a shadow cast for every light. To those who shall inherit history and succeed our history, I beg ye, read this account carefully with an open mind. I must regrettably chronicle that twice did our paths cross with the hideous calamity of unimaginable horror. The devil Gausus, he who rules the world of nothingness, he who brings forth apparitions to defile us. At his hands the ideals of our just and righteous community fell to ashes, and now Eden became a land governed by lust and vice. As we stand now, however, we have overcome these tribulations and re-established a prosperity befitting Xanadu. We owe our gratitude for this good fortune to the heroes and wise men of the past who drove our devil from the land. The first invasion of Gausus was held back by a valorous youth who bore the sacred sword sent to our aid by his liege King Guilidin and guided by the one star's light. The second invasion of Gausus was held back by a beautiful and valiant princess who carried with her the self-same sword. Both of these figures have since been regarded with the highest honor in the annals of history. Light coexists with shadow, and so too must the tales of Xanadu's calamitous past coexist with those of its heroes. If we are to remember the trials we have faced, it is important we also remember the means through which they were overcome. Tablet 2, The Chosen One, or The Chosen Ones. It came without warning during the reign of His Highness King Guilidin, the devil Gausus, such was the name given to that dragon of wicked deed and grotesque countenance. Gausus released his minions upon the land, and in the blink of an eye all of Xanadu fell to panic. The renowned artisan Zaizan was forced to construct a maze for the devil within the sacred catacombs that stretched beneath the royal capital. Powerless against Gausus, those who had formerly thrived under the reign of King Guilidin began inundating him with unreasonable demands. Rumour had it that the treasured crowns themselves, long-standing symbols of Xanadu's royal line, had been torn from his grasp, and with them the world plunged into darkness. Still, despite the looming shadows of terror and disgrace, His Highness remained undaunted. He bode his time quietly, waiting for a portent from above. Finally, with the help of a noted astrologer, he found his foretoken and arranged for an audience with a group of young men boasting a heroic disposition. The youths were placed under the tutelage of 7 officiating monks, who helped train them in body and spirit to stand up against the devil's regime. Valor, merit, charm, empathy, wisdom, mysticism, and victory. Such were the subjects of mastery taught by the 7 monks, all of whom were merciless and unforgiving tutors. Despite this, one brave soul persevered, and it was he who ultimately set forth into the vast underground labyrinth that Gausus had made his lair. Single-handedly, he retrieved all the crowns and even obtained the sacred sword known as Dragon Slayer. This sword is said to house the deified spirit of a great hero who spent his life hunting dragons of wicked heart. Some even claim it to be his very incarnation. And with this weapon in hand, our brave soul faced innumerable threats, culminating in the triumphant defeat of the devil Gausus. He truly was a courageous youth, and the king truly a great and wise man. Through their valor and wisdom, Xanadu was pulled back from the brink of hell. Even now the people of this land gloriously recount stories of these 2 valiant men. It is with heavy heart I must report, however, that the name of this youth has been lost to history. As our story draws to a close, the devil Gausus lay defeated, and Xanadu's peaceful days are returned. But as you surely must be aware, dear reader, this was not to be the tale's final conclusion. Tablet 3, When the Rain Falls. When the rain falls without warning. No matter the era, bad tidings never warn of their approach. Their arrival is sudden and devastating. Several years passed in tranquil procession since the fated struggle between the valiant youth and the devil Gausus. One night, when the moon was nearing its peak, a messenger approached King Guillidan's private chambers as he rested. Gausus, whose body had been entombed within the labyrinth, was returning to life. His pulse had begun beating anew. Understanding the brevity of the situation, the king called forth the brave sword bearer and the 7 wise sages to his castle. I surmise the reason was to discern the meaning behind Gausus's revival. It is said that discourse continued in that room for 7 days, from early morning through the darkest hours of night. As dawn broke on the monk's 8th day at the castle, a conclusion was reached and the meeting adjourned at long last. The devil's body was to be hoisted to the castle and sealed within a barrier of tremendous power so as to arrest the beast's rebirth. King Guillidan appointed his own daughter as a sacred maiden to this end, and commanded her to maintain the devil's seal for as long as she may live. The 7 monks would serve to support her in this task as best as they were able. Thus spawned a noble tradition, wherein the eldest daughter of the royal family would inherit the duty of protecting and maintaining the seal. Through this adjudication, peace persisted in Xanadu for many hundreds of years thereafter. Occasional rumors of the devil's revival did surface from time to time, but history records no such occurrences. Xanadu's rich and idyllic existence continued unabated, and all was well. Such was the state of the land until a particular young woman came along. Seems as Gausus was sealed away after his first defeat. It stands to reason it's likely impossible to actually kill a devil. And this established a tradition where the first princes of each king would inherit the role of a sacred maiden and maintain the seal. Seems like a tremendous burden to be forced into a lifetime of keeping the devil at bay based on birthright alone. Ah, yes, the lunch. I haven't forgotten, Arios. I always make food while translating. I worked particularly hard on this one, so please be sure to savor it. And received a packed lunch from Char, and 50 experience points. Nice. Okay, so tablet 4, The Unblessed Bride. The Unblessed Bride. The advent of the Black Bride is an event of considerable renown, and has thus been recorded in much detail by the secretaries of the era. The following is directly ascribed to one of these accounts. I fear I shall never forget the terrible events of this accursed day. It should have been an auspicious occasion of Princess Florette celebrating her 16th year of life. Her birthday rites did progress without incident, but just as the investiture ceremony for the title of Royal Maiden was about to begin, something dreadful occurred. That terrible woman appeared before us, wearing a black dress. She calmly stepped in front of the crowd, seemingly oblivious to the audacity of her own actions. She opened her insolent mouth, and these are the words she spoke. I have freed the devil Gausus from the seal within the castle, she said. And that's not all. She even went so far as to call herself the devil's bride. Everyone in attendance began to laugh. As one might imagine, there weren't many left to still put much stock in tales of Gausus. On top of that, this woman is widely known as a religious fanatic. Indeed, some even began brutally chastising her right then and there. But not a moment later, the derision and laughter all came to an abrupt halt. The clear blue sky which heretofore illuminated these proceedings, as if giving nature's blessings to Princess Florette on her birthday, suddenly became black with clouds. Then, accompanied by pangs of thunder, the voice of none other than Gausus himself resounded throughout the land. In short, he declared war upon Xanadu, and in that very moment one could feel the onset of a new era of terror and chaos engulfing our would-be utopia like the clouds engulfed the light above. There could be no doubt that this hellacious harlot spoke the truth. She had taken a vow of marriage with the devil Gausus. Although just an ordinary human being, she unleashed the wrath of ultimate evil upon our fair kingdom. She alone had overthrown centuries of peace in a mere instant. Black Bride, they began calling her, a fitting name. Okay, number 5, Where the Star Shines. His Highness did not hesitate. As soon as war was declared, he issued a royal decree that the devil Gausus and the Black Bride alike were to be found and executed. The ones named to carry out this mission were none other than General Vanderport and his elite. His Highness entrusted them with the sacred sword, and seemed to anticipate that the might of the warriors and the force of their weapon would lead to certain victory. Now, if you've been following along carefully, dear reader, you will undoubtedly take issue with this course of action. Indeed, when the kingdom last faced Gausus, there was a gathering of youths who received intensive training from the 7 monks, and one of those valiant men took the sacred sword in hand and slayed Gausus by his lonesome. That approach succeeded where all others had failed, so why then would the king abandon precedent in this manner? The answer, it seems, lies up above, for in the heavens no star could be seen, and thus no gathering of youths would convene. When the call for heroes was issued previously, history records that 3 stars shone as one, cutting through the thick black clouds that hung over the land like a beacon in the night. This small constellation has come to be known as the Dragon's Fang, and its leash is said to combine into a single star only once every 300 years. From time immemorial, this merging was seen as a good omen, and only in its light could a hero be revealed. It seems, however, that the devil's revival under the auspices of the Black Bride was an event even Lady Destiny could not foresee. Alas, the dragon's fang did not coalesce, but remained as three dim lights, barely able to penetrate the looming darkness. Xanadu's army had failed, and this time there appeared no hope of a hero's arrival to set things right. It was under these conditions, when anxiety and ease permeated the every walking thought of all who dwelt within the castle, that something occurred. The royal maiden herself, Princess Florette, went missing, and with her the 7 monks. Seems like this is talking about the battle between Xanadu and Galsus, and it says that when the 3 stars in the night sky meet, it's a portent for something amazing. It would be wonderful if this country would hurry and become peaceful too. Arius, here is some lunch I made for you. You can't fight on an empty stomach, right? Packed lunch and 60 experience. Nice. Tablet number 6. The Princess Near Returning. If the literature of this era rings true, then the fair Princess Florette was a young lady of the most cheerful disposition, unmatched in both academic and military talent, and beloved by all her people. But though it is incontrovertible fact that she inherited the title of Sacred Maiden at the time of her 16th birthday, little detail is known of her life before that. Of course, the question most pertinent to these records is that of her whereabouts when she and the 7 monks vanished from Xanadu. The following account is one that may prove most familiar to my readers, as it endures to this very day in the canon of tales recounted to our young. Regrettably, there exists no official report of these events, so all information herein pertaining to Princess Florette's emprise is subsumed from hearsay and rumor of the time. The last confirmed location of Princess Florette and her party was in the vicinity of Lindale. With the dragon slayer shimmering in her hands, our noble heroine had her sights set upon the mysterious castle that appeared only amidst the fog on the ocean. The self-same fort that had eluded the prior frenzied perquisition of Xanadu's army, Castle Strangerock, stronghold of Galsus. The princess and the 7 monks, having successfully made ingress upon the illusory citadel, had thus set about tracking down the devil and his bride therein. And lo, if one were to behold the silhouette of this fair maiden in battle, it could easily be mistaken for the phantom guardian Valkyria herself. Such was the level of mastery our heroine displayed in the wielding of the sacred sword. At long last, 7 days after fierce combat, Princess Florette's holy blade was plunged through the massive neck of the devil Galsus. The Black Bride, with her husband dead and her power lost, is said to have then relinquished Castle Strangerock into the waters deep, and herself to eternal sleep. Of course, this is all little more than folk tale. Whatever truth there may be to this grandiose epic has been lost to the ages. It is historical fact, however, that the incursions wrought by the devil's minions suddenly ceased no more than a single month after Princess Florette's disappearance from Xanadu, and ever since neither hair nor hide has been seen of Galsus or his bride. Now the princess is heralded as one of the greatest figures of our time, a savior regarded with reverence and admiration akin to that bestowed upon the founder himself, the great Kublai Khan. And after these incidents, no further incident occurred, leaving Xanadu's record books with naught but peace and prosperity to this very day. I must admit that even I, typically unaffected as I am by the march of time that I commit to record, have become enamored of this lore. When I call to mind the classic image of the Princess Florette brandishing her holy blade, I find myself lost in the moment. Seems like this is talking about the Princess Florette. She must have looked so amazing holding the sacred sword and going toe-to-toe against Galsus. Oh, before I forget, I made lunch for you. I know how you like it. I put a little work into it this time. Another packed lunch from Char and 70 experience. Nice. Right, so 4, 7. Tablet 7 of History and Spirits. I wish to pin down the relationship between Xanadu and the Guardians. After Galsus was sealed away within the king's castle, the country experienced an unprecedented level of prosperity. One of the resulting efficacies it would be ignorant of me not to mention is that of the existence of the Guardians. As you, dear reader, might be aware, a guardian is a spirit of sorts baptized into a newborn child. It is there within the child that it rests. At present, guardians are known only as protective spirits. However, these spirits were in fact once real people who existed in this world. By altering the powers of this world, these spirits were able to enhance a person's characteristics such as physical prowess, fortune, magical aptitude, and more. Through a form of ritual, the person is imbued with a seal originally designed by the Sacred Maiden along with the 7 sages. As the years plodded on, those tasked with the overseeing of the Devil's Seal created one of much greater strength. I can only surmise that the Sacred Maiden saw the wisdom and merit of using that same ceremony to bless a guardian within people. Thereafter, the capital of Xanadu was blessed. A grand ceremony was held in the Spirit Sanctum, where one citizen followed another, each taking their turn. So monuments dedicated to the Guardians were built all around the country alongside the highways, such was the reverence these citizens had for them. Even now, seeing the loving look of a mother with a child held in her arms come knocking upon the Spirit Sanctum's door is truly a wonder to behold. Says here the Guardians have been accustomed for a really long time now. The Sacred Maiden's seal was what originally started the tradition. And now you're alive thanks to her and Liaise, Arios. I'm so glad. And of course I've made you lunch. I made you a whole lot this time. Go on, take as much as you need. Packed lunch from Char and 80 experience points. Ooh. Nice. Right. 4, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Tablet 8, the 4 Royal Crowns. Rebek, Quosi, Tyrone, Zagreus. These are the names of which the citizens of Xanadu gave them. Praised as the greatest treasures of Xanadu, they are known as the 4 Crowns. Not merely the proof of Xanadu's royalty, but also assumed to be more important than the royal symbol. To my regret, however, the truth of these words is something only told to members of the royal family, and thus I am unable to recount them here. When the brave hero defeated Galsus, these 4 crowns were necessary, perhaps owing to some hidden power they contained within. Even after partaking of the blessed ritual with the same seal done by the sacred maiden, it is said that their powers are still required. At the time of his invasion, the very first demand Gausus had made was for those 4 crowns to be handed over to him. Worried about his citizens' well-being, King Guilladin conceded to the request post-haste. I could not fathom what was going through his mind then. After the crowns were bequeathed, the brave wielder of the sacred sword reclaimed the crowns. Yet that was not the last place they were used. In following events, Princess Florette took the crowns from the castle with her on her quest. To much regret, however, both Princess Florette and the 4 royal crowns have been lost to the annals of time. The royal crowns, this is talking about those 4 crowns. Xanadu really is as amazing of a place as I had imagined it. It seems like they were necessary both for defeating the Dragon King as well as sealing him away, but it looks like we can't learn anything else from this tablature. Oh, before I forget, I've made you some lunch. Alcott let me use the kitchen, so I owe him some thanks. Packed lunch from Char and 90 experience points. So in case you're interested to see what she means by the 4 royal crowns, that would be these things here. Crown of Rebecca, Crimson Crown found in the Eaglet Mountain appears to have been crafted in the Xanadu era. Crown of Tyrone, Violet Crown found in the Back Alley Ruins. It appears to have been crafted in the Xanadu era. And this crown, the Crown of Kosi, Jade Crown found in the Kroger Ruins. It appears to have been in the Xanadu era. So Kosi, Tyrone, Rebecca, and all we're missing is Zagreus. Those 3 crowns, 1 more crown, and the collection is complete. So yeah, those are the crowns that I think I was talking about. Anyway, back to reading. So this is 9, Tablature 9. Tablature 9, Sacred Sword and Maiden. Allow me to discuss the particulars of the Sacred Sword Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer is the name of the sword which a brave hero had used to fell the Dragon King Gausus. Way back when it was first told of, the sword's appearance was presumed to be an incarnation of a god who desired to destroy dragons of great evil. Yet power is not the only magic it holds. At full strength, the sword protects the wielder, even granting unto them the utmost triumphs. The royal family fear that the sword will be stolen by wicked people, much like the crowns. Due to that, the whereabouts of the sacred sword were kept secret from the public with severe intent. I am unable to confirm the validity of the rumor, but it is said that the care of the sacred sword has something to do with the sacred maiden seal. After Princess Florette took the sacred sword with her, the final whereabouts of the sword became lost to the annals of time. Maintaining the sacred maiden seal is quite the arduous task indeed. From the day they turn 16, they are appointed with the role to stand guard over the seal, which locks the great devil away until their successor becomes of the age of 16. For centuries, there has been a steady succession of the role since Gausus was sealed. In order to fulfill such obligations, I have heard it is necessary that the royal family's eldest daughter is put through severe training to become a sacred maiden from the moment of birth. It is no exaggeration in my eyes that they shouldered a great burden to maintain peace in Xanadu. That is, until this unfortunate role was put to an end, more specifically when it was passed to Princess Florette. says here that the sacred sword and the maiden seal are related. I'd love to hear Princess Florette's tale if she were alive to tell it. Oh, that's right, before I forget, here it's a packed lunch. I made sure it was nice and nutritious, so don't forget to eat it. Another packed lunch from Char and 100 experience points. Beautiful. So I think we're running out of space in our inventory. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. So I think, sorry Char, but I'll have to store some of these lunches away for later. Go in there. 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 And no. Let's continue reading, shall we? Let's see, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 7 Wise Sages. There are 7 sages who gathered to guide the brave hero in his quest to defeat Galsus. People born from all walks of life in all corners of Xanadu, held with the utmost confidence by the king. After the hero defeated Galsus, their role became that of assistance to the sacred maidens. These sages served both as guardians and advisors within all aspects of the maiden's life. Up until the time Princess Florette became the sacred maiden, many different people were appointed a role as one of the sages throughout the ages. The sages of that time are honored below. Dvorak, sage of valor. Gandharva, sage of merit. Lorelei, sage of charm. Theobald, sage of empathy. Abhidharma, sage of wisdom. Beatrice, sage of mysticism. And Sturim, sage of victory. They, along with the princess, held the hopes of everyone as they went to fight against Galsus. When they faced a demonic army, the sages passed along their knowledge and records to her. It is said that thanks to them, Galsus was driven out and peace returned to Xanadu. I wish to write here, however, of one oddity I came across while perusing the various records from that era. The sage Lorelei, not a single document exists which pertains to her. Perhaps she perished during the war, or perhaps someone wished to bury all record of her deep into the inner depths of history. Much like the location of the crown and sacred sword, I have no way of finding out now. At the present time, due to Galsus's presence no longer shadowing over Xanadu, the traditions of the sages and sacred maiden have been abolished. However, I wish to ensure their legacy goes down in history, and thus have written about it here. I can only hope that the heroine Florette and the 7 sages can rest their spirits in peace. The 7 sages, huh? We owe them so much for all the sacrifices they made to make the world what it is today. These people are undoubtedly related to the sacred sword as well. Oh, that's right, I've got some lunch for you to take. Let me give it to you before I forget. There you go, eat it when you're hungry. Packed lunch from Char and 110 experience. Always welcome. So yeah, if you recall, one of the sages' names was Lorelei. Yep, Lorelei, the sage of charm. She was the boss that we fought in the previous video, who was imprisoned in the time crevice for her betrayal against, her siding with the devil Galsus and betraying the other 7 sages. So, yeah, it's a pity. Anyway, carrying on, let's read the next one. The Black Bride. The Black Bride. A woman once chose to wed the devil Galsus. These days she is known to the people as the Black Bride. I've been told that she reached up to the sky and eclipsed the sun, both hands held high, sending a pillar of flame to pierce the earth from the heavens. Owing to her connection with Gauss, the power which she held was beyond human comprehension. Even after the Black Bride rekindled the fighting between Xanadu and Gauss, she frequently visited the royal castle as the devil's messenger. I highly suspect, however, that she frequently visited Gauss previously in that castle where he had been sealed away. And having sealed Gauss away, Sacred Maiden and sages alike also posted a great deal of guards in order to ensure its security. To have been able to come into contact with Gauss and yet not alert a soul to their meetings, she was likely a magician of considerable power, or perhaps a member of the royal family. Even the records kept during that time seemed to me to be rather suspicious, for if it were a person of great injustice, surely their name would have been recorded on an official document somewhere. Yet every document I've come across has all referred to her as the Black Bride. Despite the many years of research I had done, I never once found anything which told her true name. It is quite inconvenient to have her name blotted out, hidden away, so no one may learn who she really was. Based on what this says, this Black Bride must have been quite the heinous one. I couldn't imagine what I would do if I saw her in my dress. Hey, if I see you tonight in my dream, do you think you could wake me up? That's right, before I forget, here's some lunch I made for you. I learned to make a new dish, I just hope it tastes alright. Saved a packed lunch from Char. 120 experience points. And we're down to the last tablature, the last one. The Architect of Disaster. In an ancient time, the kingdom of Xanadu lay above a network of sacred caves in the earth. The Elf River carved the tunnels and crevices of those caves, ultimately ending with a huge waterfall deep within. Even the great founder Kublai Khan himself enjoyed being by the river's waters. Xanadu was exactly the paradise he described it to be in his writings. And yet, during Uladin's rule, the ambience of those caves changed completely when the devil Gauss came to Xanadu. Evil powers likely caused the river to run dry, an ominous stone to rise up, and monsters began to live there. By the end of events, Gauss carried out his rule, overseeing Xanadu from within those caverns below. For the purpose of confounding anyone who dared face him, Gauss ordered the king to make the caves into a labyrinth. The citizens were destroyed. Their peaceful paradise of Xanadu had become corrupted so utterly, but not a single one of them was able to stand up against Gauss' rule. It's said the labyrinth was designed by the famous architect Xanadu. It sounded as though Gauss had abducted him as well. Xanadu played his part well. Daily provisions, weapons, and even all manner of medicines were littered about in great number in the caves. So great were his talents that he had even cured the king of the time of the millennial slumber. Through great skill and wit, the famous craftsman transformed the sacred caves into a labyrinthine fortress. This labyrinth served not only to protect Gauss, but also to hinder the sword-bearer. It is said that Xanadu even built a castle for Gauss, yet I've been unable to determine the validity of those claims. If Gauss does indeed have a castle within that maze, nobody has been able to confirm its existence to this day. However, This architect never again returned to Xanadu. The people thought he took tail and ran, giving him the nickname, the demon's artisan. And that's all the tablets read and done. So when I come back, I'll be going through all of the memoirs that we've also gathered in our travels during this game. And most of them have already been translated but have yet to be read, and some have just been translated already and are waiting to be read. So when I return, part 2 will see me going through the memoirs. So I'll see you soon.